Good evening, dear ladies. This Shabbat we are finishing Chumash Vayikra בשעה טובה. Motzei Shabbat is Yom Yerushalayim. We are celebrating that Hashem gave us the zchut, Bezrat Hashem, to unite Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, and that we have the zchut to pray in the Western Wall, that the divine presence of Hashem in the west side and the Western Wall is there forever. So, B'siyata Dishmaya, the last parasha of the Chumash Vayikra, Chazak Chazak V'nitchazek, is Parashat Bechukotai. I would like to bless first all of us, that we will all have the zchut to greet Mashiach Tzidkenu V'Chamim Urim B'mira B'yameinu Amen. אליהו הנביא, אליהו תשבי, אליהו גלעדי, במהרה יבוא למשיח דוד, אליהו הנביא זכור לטוב, ונזכה לראות, and we all have the zchut to see the building of בית המקדש השישי במהרה בימינו אמן, כעין בעין יראו בשוב אדוני ציון. אתה תקום תרחם ציון, כי עת לחננה כי בא מועד. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם. And we will all have the zchut to go to the land of Israel, and we will all have part in ארץ ישראל בעזרת השם. The שיעור is לעילוי נשמת הרב קוק, עליו השלום, תהי נשמתו צרורה בצרור החיים, ועל הרבנית ימימה, עליה השלום, תהי נשמתה צרורה בצרור החיים, ולעילוי נשמת זהבה בת חנה, עליה השלום, תהי נשמתה צרורה בצרור החיים, ובעזרת השם לרפואה שלמה, to health, mentally and physically, to כלל ישראל, and to salvation to everybody that needs from Aleph to Taf, and Bezrat Hashem also to רפואה שלמה לתינוק, the baby, the son of Rivka. Bezrat Hashem, and everybody that needs from Aleph to Taf. So we're in the last parasha of Chumash Vayikra, and this is the Chumash that it speaks about the Kohanim and the work of the Kohanim, and it ends with Parashat Bechukotai, which means my laws, says Hashem. And over here we see that there's Hashem rebukes the children of Israel. There are two portions that speak about revulsion. One is at the end of Parashat Bechukotai, Vayikra, at the end of the Chumash Vayikra, and the other one is in Chumash Dvarim. This is Parashat Bechukotai, and Chumash Dvarim we have Kitavo. So both of them speak about, warn the children of Israel if you won't listen to Hashem. And over here it says, Chazal say, our sages say that Parashat Bechukotai refers to the first temple, and Parashat Kitavo refers to the second temple. And we know over here we have 49 curses. In Parashat Kitavo we have 98 curses, and over there it's in singular verse, and over here it's in parallel verse, because this refers to the first ruining of the temple, and Kitavo is the second ruining of the temple. So let's start and see. At the beginning Hashem says, Im bechukotai telchu vet mitzvotai tishmuru v'asitem otam, which means if you are going to go in my way and follow my commandments, and you will do them, Otam, which means you'll follow the truth. And we remember that Parashat Behar last week ended in these words, Et shabtotai tishmoru mikdashi tirau ani Hashem, that you should keep my Shabbatot, you should keep Shabbat, and you should fear my sanctuary. Remember that I am Hashem, which means all of us have to have the fear of honor of Hashem, all of us. And we see over here Hashem starts with Im bechukotai, if you will go and follow my laws. And Chazal say, what does it mean im? Im, if. It's Aleph and Mem. So it says over here that we have all of the salvation of the children of Israel from Egypt to Parasu Madai, to the time of Haman the wicked, until Mashiach comes, Bezrat Hashem. Because Im is the initials of Aleph, at the time of the exile of Egypt, at the time of redemption from Egypt, B'siyata Dishmaya, we have Aleph for Aharon, and Mem, because it's Aleph Mem Im, and Mem for Moshe Rabbeinu. Both of them came in order to take the children of Israel out of Egypt. To remember, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu he's going to be Mashiach, he's going to go and help the children of Hashem to go out of Egypt and receive the Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu said that he cannot speak. And Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to take this job because he was so humble, he didn't think he's deservable of fulfilling this job. And Hashem told him that he will take Aharon, his brother, as his mouth. Hashem speaks to Moshe, and Moshe speaks to Aaron, and Aaron speaks to the people. So we have from the time of Mitzrayim, Egypt, we have Aharon and Moshe im, Aleph Mem. And then we come to the time of Paras Madai, Persia and Madai, and at that time there's Haman HaRasha that speaks to Achashverosh and takes a decree to kill all of the children of Israel in 127 states. And Hashem takes two people to save the children of Israel, and the Aleph, Im, if, the Aleph stands for Esther, the queen, and Mem stands for Mordechai. And then we come, Bezrat Hashem, to the time of Mashiach. And this time, the exile of Edom. It's the exile which after this salvation, this is going to be forever. And Aleph stands for Eliyahu the prophet, and Mem stands for Moshe Rabbeinu. And Hashem says, V'asitem otam, and you should do them, otam, Aleph Taf Mem. Aleph Taf Mem is the letters of Emet. These are the letters. These are the letters of Emet. So Emet stands for everything that is going to happen, Bezrat Hashem, in this salvation. Because Aleph stands for Eliyahu the prophet, and he is going to come and announce the salvation. And then Mem stands because for Moshe Rabbeinu and the two Mashiachim. We have Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. Mem, Mashiach starts with Mem, and we have Moshe Rabbeinu that starts with Mem. So Aleph stands for Eliyahu the prophet, Mem stands for Mashiach, Moshe Rabbeinu, and Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. All of them are supposed to come in order to help us and do the salvation for the children of Israel. And the Taf is Tchiyat HaMetim, resurrection. So the word Emet already includes B'siyata Dishmaya all of the three stages of the salvation of the exile of the children of Israel, this last exile from Edom. So we're continuing. We see Im Bechukotai Telechu. This is beautiful because it's written that Balaturim, Rabbeinu Yaakov says that it starts in chapter 26, verse 3, and it ends all of the blessings if we will follow the ways of Hashem and listen to His commandments and follow the commandments, which means, and the last portions ends with Shabbat, which means we have to keep the Shabbat, we have to keep the Shemitah, we have to keep the Yovel. B'siyata Dishmaya, when we're all in Israel and Beit HaMikdash is built, and then this is the Yovel. And then B'siyata Dishmaya, if we keep all of the mitzvot of Hashem, all of the commandments of Hashem that Hashem gave us, we see over here 10 blessings, 10 verses of blessings. And Rabbeinu Balaturim says this is parallel, these 10 verses of blessings, and it's written in general, this is parallel to all of the 10 blessings that Yitzchak gave Yaakov Avinu in Parashat Toldot. And you remember this thoughts, we say it every Motzei Shabbat, B'siyata Dishmaya, ויתן לך אלוקים מטל השמיים ושמני הארץ ורוב דרגן ותירוש שיעבדוך עמים וישתחוו לך לאומים. And then this is parallel to the 10 commandments. So we see that all of these blessings in Parashat Bechukotai, the 10 verses of blessings, are parallel to the blessing that Yaakov Avinu received from his father Yitzchak in Parashat Toldot, and it's parallel to the 10 commandments that Hashem gave the children of Israel. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, v'lo yeh lecha elokim achorim, you should not have any other gods. And of course, what does it mean, any other gods? Today we don't have barely there are people who bow to statues and to wood. So what is today Avodah Zarah? Avodah Zarah, worshipping other gods, is listening to the evil inclination and not following the way of Hashem. this is worshipping other gods, because the evil inclination is like other gods. So, dear ladies, we see אם בחוקותיי תלכו ואת מצוותיי תשמעו. And we continue, and it says, Rabbi Yitzchak Migur says about this בחידושי ערים, that it says אם בחוקותיי תלכו, if you follow, which means if you walk in my way, if you follow, תלכו, ללכת in Hebrew means to walk in my way. So he says this means that we have to go mechail el chail, that we will do a mitzvah and then another mitzvah b'siyata dishma, and go up the steps in following the commandments of Hashem, even if we didn't do anything until now, even if we didn't follow the ways of Hashem until now. We can start now, this second, and we can take upon ourselves one mitzvah, kissing the mezuzah b'siyata dishma, putting tzedakah, lighting candles of Shabbat. During the Shabbat, if we don't cover our heads, so from the moment we light the candles until after Suda Revi'it, after Suda de David Malka Meshicha, the fourth meal after Shabbat, then we cover our hair the whole Shabbat. Taking a cover for our hair inside our bag, in order that when we say Tehillim, even at work, anywhere we are, we can cover our hair and say the brachot, and also say Tehillim, Perek Shah, everything that we say for the sake of Shamayim, or the sake of heaven. So everything we would do for the sake of Hashem. And if we do keep, and when we are observant, so we take upon ourselves the fixing of our midot, and to pay attention to the commandments that we follow, that we do them the right way, b'siyata dishma. So we see that we can always walk from one step to another, because if we stand in the same step and we are not elevating ourselves, it means in the Jewish religion, it means that we are going down instead of going up. So we shouldn't be in the same step. We should always elevate our soul higher and higher, step by step, Bezrat Hashem. This is Vilchu Mechail El Chail, that we will go from one mitzvah to another mitzvah and elevate our soul from one stage, one step to another step. Furthermore, b'siyata dishma, we should know Hashem with everything that we do. It says in Mishlei, b'chol drachecha de'eu v'hu yasher ochotecha, that we should know Hashem in every way of our life, in everything that we do in our life. Which means when we eat, we should say the bracha before we eat, and bracha achrona after we eat. And if we have waste, we do netilat yadayim, and we go out and we say asher yatzar. We say the bracha to thank Hashem that gave us that gave us a body that functions, that we can take out the waste, because otherwise the toxic will stay in our body and it will come to our blood, and chas v'shalom we can die. So we need to thank Hashem. And when we say, "Im b'chokotay telechu v'et mitzvotay tishmoru v'aseitem otam," our sages say it means that we should learn, we study the Torah and make ourselves time to study the Torah in the morning, and then before we go to sleep. If we are working, we should make time, and it should be the same time every morning and every night that we prepare for ourselves, that we study Torah. And if we study Torah, and this is our melacha, this is our job, that we study the Torah the whole day, b'siyata dishma, we should do it for the sake of heaven. And if we have melacha, if we work, then we should see to it that we follow the commandments of Hashem and study the Torah, and with everything that we do. For example, if we are farmers and we have fields, so we will leave for the poor people, like Hashem said, leket v'shichecha, we'll leave for the poor people to come and take. If we are merchants and we have negotiations, we should negotiate with faith and confidence in Hashem, and be true and honest, and not steal from anyone. And not only not steal from anyone money or physical things, but also we should not, we should not steal also thoughts of other people, which means we should not be kani, which means we should say the truth and not have one thing in our hearts and one thing in our mouth. So we should be honest and true. And then besiyata dishmaya, and this is the way that we need to worship Hashem all of our lives. There's a beautiful story about Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditche, and there's a story about Yecheskel Anapach. Yecheskel was a blacksmith, and it says about Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditche alav Hashem zchuto taged alenu, that when he heard that Yecheskel the blacksmith passed away, he left everything and he told everybody to come to his levaya in order to escort him to the last way, the last path. And everybody was astonished because he was a humble person, but nobody knew that he was a tzaddik. He was a very simple person. And if Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditche on his own tells everybody to come, and not only that, he stops everything and he follows the bed of the Yecheskel the blacksmith, this is a big thing. So everybody went after his bed. Everybody stopped their work. Everybody followed the bed of Rabbi Levi, the Yecheskel the blacksmith. When they came to bury him, and Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditche zchuto taged alenu said words and said a sped over him, he said, I know him very well, and I want you to know that he was part of the 36 tzaddikim, Lamed Vav tzaddikim. You know the Lamed Vav tzaddikim, the 36 tzaddikim, righteous people that the world is standing on them. They're supposed, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, zchuto taged alenu, there's 36 righteous people in the land of Israel, 36 outside the land of Israel, together 72, like the 72 names of Hashem. And the preferable thing is that all will be in the land of Israel. And they are holding the world. And they are concealed. They are not, nobody knows that they are tzaddikim. So he was one of the 36 tzaddikim, righteous people. And he said, I have to tell you that Yecheskel, the blacksmith, was in front of me for Din Torah. He came for judgment 3 times in front of me, says Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditche. And I want to tell you what happened. He says the first time, and he said the merchant that I'm going to speak about is in this crowd, and I asked the merchant not to speak and to wait until I finish. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditche says that 2 people came to me for Din Torah, for judgment. It was Yecheskel, the blacksmith, and it was a merchant. And this merchant said that he was very wealthy, and he almost became had to declare bankruptcy, and he needed a loan of 500 rubles. So he came to Yecheskel the blacksmith and he asked him if he can loan it to him. So he thought and he said, okay, I will lend it to you, but please, I need guarantee. So he told him that he's ashamed to tell people that he's almost before bankruptcy. So the merchant told him, please, Hashem will be my guarantee. So they wrote a treaty between both of them, and they wrote that Hashem is the guarantee of this merchant. Okay, and they wrote that after 2 months he has to give him back the money to the blacksmith, to Yecheskel the blacksmith. 2 months passed away, 3 months passed away, 5 months, 6, a year passed away, and he didn't give back the money. After a year, the merchant had the money. He came back to Yecheskel the blacksmith, and he wants to give him back the money. And Yecheskel tells him, I thank you, but I cannot take the money back. So he says, how come you cannot? We had a treaty, and Hashem is the guarantee for me in the treaty, and I have to give it back to you, 500 rubles. I have to give it back to you. He says, no, Hashem already gave it back to me. So they had a disagreement between both of them. They both agreed to go to the Bet Din, to the court of Jewish court of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditchev, and to stand in front of him, and what he decides, they will accept upon themselves. So both of them went in to the Bet Din. Bet Din means the Jewish court, and they both went in front of him. And the merchant says, "Well, we had a treaty. Hashem is my." Hashem is the one that is standing for me, and I have to give back the money, 500 rubles. But Yechezkel, the blacksmith, he doesn't want to get it. He doesn't want to take it back. And Yechezkel, the blacksmith, says, "No, I can't take it back for him, because after 2 months, even though he didn't give me the money, Hashem gave me a profit just in that amount. So I knew that Hashem gave me back the money, and I cannot accept this money, because Hashem was the guarantee of this merchant." So they were quarreling, and Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditchev told Yechezkel the blacksmith, "You have to take back the money," but he didn't want to take it back. So he said, "I have a way in between, and tell me if you agree." He says, "Okay, if you don't want to take back the money, both of you agree maybe to give it as a donation, as tzedakah to the yeshiva, to my yeshiva." They both became very happy. Both of them agreed, and they gave the 500 rubles to Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibarditchev for his yeshiva. This was the first trial. The second trial was this: opposite the blacksmith store was a store, a grocery store. So one day he sees that there's a man that came to buy a grocery from the grocery store, and from his pocket fell 200 rubles, but the man didn't notice it. So he didn't see the amount that fell from his pocket, but he saw that money fell from his pocket. Meanwhile, the owner of the store, when the man that came to buy the grocery went out, the owner of the store saw that there were 200 rubles. He took it and put it in his pocket. After half an hour, the man comes back and he says, "I don't know, but I lost money. I lost 200 rubles. And maybe I lost it here. Maybe it fell in the grocery store." But the owner said, Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, got over him. Money is a big test. And he said, "I'm sorry, I didn't find here 200 rubles. Maybe when you went back on the way, you lost it." So the man went out, and he was with such agony, because it's a lot of money. And he was with such agony, he didn't know what to do. So the blacksmith, Yechezkel, went out, and he saw him and said, "What happened?" And he says, "Well, I had money in my pocket. I lost it. I thought maybe it fell in the grocery store, but the owner of the grocery store says he didn't see anything. So I don't know, maybe." And I looked in the path when I went back through the same path, and there's nothing. I didn't see the money. So somebody took it, and he was very sorry. So he told him. So Yechezkel the blacksmith told him, "Okay, I would like to tell you that I found the money. Just give me signs and how much you had, so I'll know that this is your money." So he tells him, "I had 200 rubles. He says, "Please come and I'll give you the money." And he gives him the money. Meanwhile, because the grocery store was opposite the blacksmith store, so meanwhile, the owner of the grocery store saw this and heard this. He felt so embarrassed and so ashamed of himself. He went to Yechezkel the blacksmith, and he tells him, "Yechezkel, I'm so sorry. I'm ashamed of myself. I sinned towards Hashem and human beings. I want to fix this. I have to give you back the money, the 200 rubles." He says, "Wow, I don't know what happened to me, that the evil inclination, that Yetzer Hara came over me, and I didn't give back the money to him, and I lied." Oy shelo neda. So he says, "Please accept the money." And he says, "I don't know you. Ma pitam, I'm not going to accept the money. I'm not taking back the money. I don't even know you. I don't know that you took the money. Please don't give me anything. And they had a disagreement, and again they went to the court, to the Beit Din of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev. And the owner says, I want to do tshuva. I stole the money. I told the person that I didn't see the money. I don't know what happened. He says, the evil inclination came upon me. Yetzer hara, it just didn't let me do the right thing, and I lied, and I took the money, and please, I need to give it back to Yecheskel the blacksmith. And the blacksmith says, Yecheskel says, no, I'm sorry. I don't know you. I didn't see you take anything. Please don't give me anything. And again, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev, Zchutot Haganah Lanu, says to Yecheskel, you have to take the money, but Yecheskel doesn't want to take the money. So he says, okay, let's compromise. If you want, both of you, we can give it to my yeshiva. And both of them were happy, with a happy heart. They both donated it to Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev Yeshiva, Kolel. So this was the second trial. Now he tells them about the third trial. There was a young Chatan, groom, that got married, and he was very poor. And he was ashamed to ask for tzedakah, for charity, in order to provide for him and his wife. So he decided he will go for exile, and he will try to gather money to work somewhere in order that he can provide for his wife and for himself. So he told his wife, because they lived next to Yecheskel the blacksmith, he told his wife, you know, Yecheskel the blacksmith, he owes me money. He's supposed to give me money. Please, when I'm not here, go to him and ask for the money. He will give you half of a ruble every day. Okay, his wife believed him, and he went, because he didn't know what to tell his wife. She came to Yecheskel the blacksmith, and she tells him, my husband went in order to find a job, and so he can provide for us, and I don't know when he's going to come back, but he told me that you owe him money, and that you will give me every day half a ruble. So Yecheskel doesn't even know her husband. She tells him her husband's name and last name, and she says this is what her husband told her, and he saw that she was so innocent, that she really, with the truth came to him. He was thinking, and then he decided, okay, every morning you will come, and I will give you half a ruble. So every day he gave her half a ruble, and on Friday, he gave her, on Erev Shabbat, on the eve of Shabbat, he gave her on Friday morning a whole ruble, which means 3.5 rubles every week. This he continued until her husband came back. And when he came back, her husband spoke with her, and she told him, you know, truly the blacksmith, Yecheskel, gave me every day half a ruble, and on Friday he gave me a whole ruble. So her husband was astonished, because he knew that he doesn't owe him anything. So he sat down and he wrote all of, from the day he left until now that he came back, how much he gave her, how much Yecheskel gave his wife, and he took the money and he went to give him back the money. And Yecheskel again said, no, I don't know you, I don't know your wife. I'm not taking anything from you. And he begged him, he says, otherwise it's gezel, otherwise it's stealing. I told my wife, because I didn't know what to say or what to do. You weren't responsible to give her money, but I didn't have a way to provide for her. So they were arguing, and they decided to go to Beit Din. They went again to Beit Din of Rabbi Yitzchak. This is a true story. They went to Beit Din, again to the Beit Din of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev. And again, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Mibardichev, Zchutot Haganah Lanu, tells Yecheskel, you have to take the money. And Yecheskel says, no, I don't know this man, I don't know his wife, I'm not taking back the money. And again, he brings a compromise, a way of compromising, and he tells him both of them, that if they want to compromise, they can give it as a donation to his yeshiva, to his kollel, which is a big thing, because it's written that part of the blessings is the tree of the field will give its fruit. Even a tree that is not a tree fruit. So even a tree that never gave fruits will bring fruits. And Rashi says it means that even people who do not study Torah the whole day, but make time to study Torah, that even them, when they support Talmidei Chachamim, when they support the scholars of Torah that study the whole day, the Torah, when they support them b'siyata dishmaya, they have fruits in everything they do, which means they have a blessing in their hands. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Vimerditchev said, they gave me the money for the kollel, for my yeshiva. And he says like this, when he finished the hesped, he was saying, Morai v'rabotai, he spoke to all of the children of Israel that were standing there. תחילת דינו של אדם שואלים, נסעת ונתת באמונה. This story comes from אהבת חיים. רבי מנחם מנשה עליו השם זכותו תגן עלינו. So he says over there that when a person passes away, a man passes away, the first thing that they ask him if he negotiated with faith and confidence in Hashem. And then he says, Oy lanu miyom adin. Oy to us from the judgment day. The judgment day is the day that we pass away and move to the true world. Ma nedaber u'ma nitzadek. How can we justify ourselves? Vesof adam lamut. Eventually, the end of a person is to pass away, is to go out of this world. Uve'ezer busha na'amod. And we will stand ashamed. Latet et adin. To give judgment over the money that we took and did not belong to us. Because people work for the money, it's their sweat. ועבור הכסף אדם שם את עצמו בסכנות גדולות כדי להביא כיכר לחם בביתו, כי בנפשנו נביא לחמנו. Because this, with our soul we bring our bread we provide for our children at home. והמנוח הזה, and this disease, which means יחזקאל, the blacksmith, לא היה כל כך עשיר. He wasn't rich, ועמד בניסיונות קשים, and he had hardship, and he had big tests, big challenges, and these are big challenges that he saw, and he didn't tell anybody that the owner of the store stole the money, and he didn't accept the money from him, and that the wife of this, the kala that came and asked and the wife of the chatan came and asked for money, that her husband told her that he owes him money, and every day he will give him half a ruble, and will give her half a ruble, and he didn't say, your husband is lying, I do not know your husband. But he says, if Hashem send me this woman, and they have this hardship, it means that Hashem is expecting me to help her. And when the merchant came to him and needed a loan, and he didn't give back the loan after 2 months, he didn't go to Beit Din, he didn't go to the court. He waited patiently. And then he didn't accept it because he was so just, because he put as a guarantee Hashem in the treaty. And Hashem gave him, after 2 months, 500 rubles. So he said, this Hashem already paid me. This is a man that knows that he's only a visitor in this world. And what is the purpose of being in this world? Following the ways of Hashem. So he says, and he had big challenges. Betzadik kaze nistalek meitanu. And such a righteous person is separated from us now. He passed to the true world. And we don't know even if there will be a person that will fill in his shoes, that will be in his place. And from this, a lot of the people in the city decided to look into themselves and to see what did they take that didn't belong to them, if they did something that that wasn't appropriate in order to do tshuva in front of Hashem. Look איזה זכויות בסייעתא דשמיא you have when you listen to Hashem. Furthermore, Rabbi Tanchuma gives us another story. Look what's finding the merit of each other, בסייעתא דשמיא. So Rabbi Tanchuma says, there was a time of drought, which means there were no rains, and it was a hardship for the children of Israel and also for the nations. So they came in front of Rabbi Tanchuma, and he decreed for 3 days a fast. But still there was not rain. And then the people saw someone that was divorced from his wife, and they saw him that he took money and gave his ex-wife money. And they came in front of Rabbi Tanchuma, and they told him, he went to give his ex-wife money. So maybe there's something wrong over here. So he called him and he asked him. And he said, well, I saw that she has a hardship, and it's hard for her to provide for herself. So I said, Hashem, you gave me a parnasa, you gave me a livelihood, I'm going to share it with her. So he went and he gave her. And Rabbi Tanchuma says, in this merit that he had mercy upon his ex-wife to give her livelihood, may Hashem have mercy upon us. And at that moment, rain started pouring. It says that Hashem blessed the children of Israel. He says, if you follow my way, I'm going to bless you with the blessings of rain. What does it mean, the blessings of rain? That the rain will come at the right season, and the rain will come in the right amount, that it won't be, floods. It will be in the right amount, that it will be healthy and for the fruits and for the vegetables to grow, and there will be good fruits and good vegetables without worms. And that the rain will come in the time that it doesn't bother people, which Hashem said it will be on Wednesday nights and Friday nights, because Friday night everybody sits with their family to keep Shabbat and to have a family meal together and to do the Kiddush. So everybody's at home. So it doesn't bother anyone. Look how Hashem has mercy, and He thinks about us. Hashem says, "B'siyata dishmaya, I will give the rain on its time, and ונתתי גשמכם בעיתם, ונתנה הארץ יבולה ועץ השדה ייתן פריו." And then he says, furthermore, there will be enough food for everyone. And not only that there will be enough food, and all of the barns will be filled even with old grains, and the old grain will have the taste of a new grain. But furthermore, tzaddik ochel esova nafsho, that a righteous person that follows my ways, says Hashem, and keeps the commandments and does good deeds, bezat Hashem, this man will eat a small amount and be satisfied. So a righteous person eats a small amount of food and it satisfies his soul. This is a big thing. This is a big avtacha. Furthermore, Hashem says, I am going to give you peace. And what does it mean, peace? He says, Hashem, that I will give you וישבתם לבטח בארצכם, that you will live safely in your land, and ונתתי שלום בארץ, and I will give peace in the land. And we all need peace. So what does it mean? If we are living safely in a land, it means that we are in peace. So why does Hashem double the word? And he says after that, ונתתי שלום בארץ, and I will give peace in the land. Because וישבתם לבטח בארצכם, pay attention, the Zohar Kadosh is about this, a beautiful thing. כי בטח, what does it mean bטח? That you will be safe. It's bet, tet, and chet. So if we separate it, betach, two havarot, two ways, two pronunciation, bet, betach, betach. So we have tet vechet. Tet vechet is the letters of chet, of sin. But if we follow the way of Hashem, then the bet of Bereshit joins the tet and the chet, which means the Bet Bereshit. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. In the beginning Hashem created heaven and earth. Bereshit starts with Bet. Bet, which means two worlds, this world and the true world. Two inclinations, the good inclination, the evil inclinations. So, and everything is in twos. So we see body and soul. Everything is two. So we see the Bet. So Hashem adds the Bet into Tet v'Chet, which is Chet, and we have Lavetach, we have Betach. And Lamed is the Lamed of Hashem, because it's the highest letter in the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and it symbolizes the name of Hashem, because Lamed is written by Vav, the letter Vav, and the letter Chaf. Together it's 26. Chaf is 20, Vav is 6, 26. And Bet is Bereshit. Why? Because in the beginning Hashem created the world for the children of Israel to study Torah. So we know that Kudshe Berichu, Oraita V'Yisrael Chad, that Hashem, God, and the Torah and the children of Israel are one. So if the children of Israel do not study Torah, then the whole world goes back to chaos. So if we do not sin and we follow the ways of Hashem, so Hashem, by the word sin in Hebrew, which is tet and chet, which is chet, he adds the bet, because we are fulfilling the purpose of the world, the goal of the world, by studying Torah, keeping Shabbat, following the commandments. So the bet is added to the tet and the chet, and then we sit safely in our land. Because Hashem, the Lamed, is added to Betach, to the Bet of Bereshit, and the Tet and the Chet, which is Chet, and together it means V'yashavtem labetach b'artzachem, and you will sit safely in your land. This means that no nation can come and conquer the land of Israel, the Jewish people, and we'll be safe from all of our enemies. And then, v'natati shalom ba'aretz, and I will give peace in the land, which means, Ose shalom b'mromav u'berachamav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. He who does peace in heaven between fire and water, which is the angels. You know that the angel of fire is the angel of Gabriel, and the angel of water is the angel Michael. So he makes, even though they don't have even inclination, but fire and water don't go together. So he, Hashem, who makes peace in heaven, will make peace among the children of Israel, peace among each and every one of us, because there's only blessing if we have peace, and we find the merit of each other, and we love each other. And if we do this now, Mashiach can come with mercy, and if we won't do it, it will come with judgment. And how do we know that? So this is the shalom v'natati shalom ba'aretz, and I will give peace among the people, the Jewish people, that we will live in peace. So to live safely, it means that no enemies will hurt us. We will have peace around the borders. But I will give peace in the land. It means that we will have peace among one and each other. So this is a big thing. This is the peace. And it says in Parashat Bereshit, it says, "U'morachem v'chitechem yeh al kol chayat haaretz," that I will give you fear over all of the animals in the land. We go to Masechet Shabbat, page 156, and all Amud Bet, and also Sanhedrin, page 38, Amud Bet. It's written, "V'amru en chaya sholetet ba'adam ad shenidme la kebehema," that an animal cannot control a human being until he seems like an animal to her. Which means, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero says, if we have the merit, then we are deservable of the term human being. How do we have the merit to be deservable of the term human being? If we follow the ways of Hashem, im bechukotai telechu, if you will follow my commandments and you keep my commandments. So if we do that and we follow the commandments of Hashem and his attributes by doing good deeds, b'siyata dishma, then we are deservable of the term human being. But if we don't, then we are considered an animal in the clothing of a human being. So King David says in chapter 36 in Tehillim, verse 7, Adam u behema toshia Hashem, which means Hashem give salvation to a human being, a person who is deservable of the term human being, and to a person who is like an animal in the clothing of a human being. So we will still have the merit to do tshuva. So we see that Hashem says that B'siyata Dishmai, He will give us peace in a peace, which means inside of us peace, and also in between us peace, and peace among our borders. And we need that. We can see what's happening now, not only in the land of Israel, but all over the world. And then furthermore, Hashem says, I will bless you with children, many children, and with easy pregnancies, easy births, B'siyata Dishmaya, and that you will have plenty of livelihood to bring to your home. And then he says, Hashem says, I will bless you that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, will rest among you. And Rashi says about this, that not only the divine presence will rest among us, that Hashem, that the land of Israel, with all of these blessings, if we follow the ways of Hashem, then the land of Israel will be just like paradise when at the time of the first human being, at the time of Adam. Which means that every seed that was planted, immediately, if it was a seed of an apple tree, immediately an apple tree grew up, and all of the apples were on the branches. So the land will be just like paradise at the time of Adam. And God is going to just walk and rest among us, walk with us in paradise. Can you imagine this this if we follow the ways of Hashem? So Baal HaTurim says that from the beginning of this parasha, the beginning of the blessing, which starts with Im Bechukotai Telech with an Aleph, it ends with Komemiyut. It ends with this. Hashem says, Vitalachti betokechem, and I will walk among you, which means the divine presence will be with us, just like we spoke now, that B'siyata Dishmaya, that Hashem it will be like paradise. The land of Israel will be mamash paradise, that Adam was walking in and living in paradise before he sinned. This is how the land of Israel will be. Vayiti lechem lelokim v'atem tiyu li l'am, and I will be your God and you will be my people. כי אני השם אלוקיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, because I am Hashem your God that took you out of Egypt, להיות להם לעבדים, I took you out of slavery, ואשבור מוטות עולכם והולך אתכם כממיות. And I will walk you, and I took you out of slavery, and I took the yoke off of you, and I will let you be free people. So it starts with if, but im in Hebrew starts with an aleph. V'komemiyut, that you'll be free people, ends with taf. So it's from of aleph to taf. All of the Hebrew words from aleph to taf, which means if we follow the commandments of Hashem and follow His attributes and emulate His attributes, then B'siyata Dishmaya, the blessings will be from aleph to taf. We need to follow from aleph to taf, from the first letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet until the end letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet. And B'siyata Dishmaya, we need Be'ezrat Hashem to fulfill all of the mitzvot from Aleph to Taf. And then Hashem will give us from Aleph to Taf all of the blessings. From the first Hebrew letter to the last Hebrew letter, all of the blessings, B'siyata Dishmaya. And we continue. We see in the middle of the curses, we have over there, just a minute, in the middle of the, just need to go there. Okay. It's written over there, V'zacharti et briti Yaakov, that I will remember my covenant with Yaakov Avinu, and over here Yaakov is written with a Vav. So Rashi says there are 5 places that Yaakov Avinu in the Torah that is written with a Vav, which means, because usually it's written without a Vav, it's Yud Ayin Kuf Bet, and there are 5 places that Eliyahu the prophet is written without a Vav. So it's written Eliah, like in Malachi. So we see that Yaakov Avinu, Rashi says, took the vow from Eliyahu the prophet, so in order that Eliyahu the prophet will remember to come and announce the salvation of the children of Israel. And furthermore, וזכרתי בריתי יעקב, ואף את בריתי יצחק, ואף את בריתי אברהם אזכור, והארץ אזכור. So he says, I will remember my covenant. If you didn't listen to me, eventually I will remember my covenant with Yaakov Avinu. I will remember my covenant with Yitzchak Avinu, our forefather. And I will remember my covenant with Abraham, our forefather. And I will remember the land of Israel. I will remember the land. What does it mean? Why does it go? Because the forefathers go Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But here he goes from the end to the beginning. From Yaakov first, and then to Yitzchak, and then to Abraham. So first, there are a few things, a few explanations, but Hashem will give you now two explanations. One of them, B'siyata Dishmaya, Magid Meduvna says, Rabbi Yaakov Kranz says, and he says like this, he gives a parable about it, and he says that there was a merchant that came to buy merchandise, which are almonds and walnuts from a wholesale. So the owner of the wholesale prepared bags of walnuts and bags of almonds for this merchant, and he gave him, and at the end he gave him also a few free. After he paid, he gave him also a few free, like a present. So a person that was looking from the side came to him and he said, can you also give me free almonds and walnuts? So the owner of the place says, I can't, he says, because the man that came, he took bags of walnuts and almonds. So at the end I gave him some free, but you're not buying anything. So I can't give you anything free. So the explanation of the parable says, Amagid Meduvna, he says like this, it's the children of Israel and all of the nations, the children of Ishmael and the children of Esau. He says at the end of days that they will come and ask, why did the children of Israel receive the Torah and why they are receiving all of the merit from Hashem? And Hashem says, because their forefathers and them, they kept the mitzvot, the commandments, through all of the generations. There was always Jewish people that keep the commandments, follow the Torah, study the Torah, and follow and emulate the attributes of Hashem. So he says, during all of that time, they followed my way. So he says, and this, Rabbi Moshe Cordever says, at the 13th attribute of Hashem, you remember there are 13 attributes that Moshe Rabbeinu received from Hashem, which is Hashem, Kel Chanun V'Rachum, El Rechapayim V'Av Chesed Be'emet, a merciful a God that clings to the truth. And then there's also 13 attributes that Micha the prophet received. And these are Mikel Kamocha, Nosei Avon V'Over Al Pesha, who is a God like you that accepts upon himself the sins of the children of Israel and forgives for all of the transgressions. And it continues, 13 attributes, both of them received. So the 13 attributes from Micha Navi is Mimei Kedem, which means from days of old. And over there it says that Harei Midah sheyesh lakadosh baruch hu im Yisrael, that this attribute, Kshetama zchut avot, when the merit of the forefathers cannot stand anymore for the children of Israel because we didn't go in the right path, Ma yaseh, what shall Hashem do? It's exactly this parable. What should Hashem do at that time? So he says like this, V'arei mitzad atzmam einam agunim, from they don't have enough merit from their own in order to protect them. So this is how Hashem is merciful. It's written in Yirmiyahu the prophet, chapter 2, verse 2. וזכרתי לך חסד נעורייך אהבת כלותייך. I recall for your sake the kindness of your youth and the love of your bridal days. ממש זוכר הקדוש ברוך הוא ימי קדמונים. Hashem remembers from the beginning of the creation of the people of Israel. He remembers all of the commandments that we followed, all of the attributes that we emulated, and he takes them like diamonds, like precious stones, and he adds them all together. All of this together. ובזה יזכיר להם כל המצוות שעשו מיום שנולדו, and he will remind the children of Israel all of the commandments that follows and all of the good deeds that they did from the day that they were born. בכל הטובות, בכל מידות טובות שהקדוש ברוך הוא מנהיג בהם את עולמו, and all of the attributes of Hashem that they followed from the beginning of the creation of the people of Israel. ומכולם עושה סגולה לרחם בשבילם. And from this he makes a סגולה, a merit, in order to find a mercy for them. והרי זה מידה כולל את כל המידות כולם. And this is also written, and this attribute includes all of the 13 attributes and all of the 26 attributes together from Moshe and Micha the prophet. And this is also written Ba'idra, which means in the Zohar Kadosh Ba'idra, Parashat Neso, page 130 and 34, Amud Bet. So this is the merit that Hashem finds for the children of Israel, and the Megiddo Medubna says, so that even if they will come in front of Hashem, they will tell him, I give this as a present for the children of Israel, because through all of the generations, from the moment they became a nation, from the moment they received the Torah, from the moment I took them and took them out of Egypt, they followed my way through all of the prosecutions that you prosecuted them, through all of the prosecutions that the children of Ishmael, the children of Esav, and Erev Rav and Amalek that were among us and among the nations that prosecuted the children of Israel, until today, we are the mamash at the end of days. He says, I remember for them all the commandments that they followed, from the day they were born as individuals and from the day that they were born as a nation. And I added all of this like precious stones, like diamonds. That's the merchant, the owner of the store that speaks to this merchant that comes like speaking to the nations. So of course I will give them, because they deserve it. And because of this, I'm going to give them salvation. And know that Hashem is not going to forsake the children of Israel, even though we sometimes do not follow his ways. And even though we will be, because of this, we'll have hardship, it's written over here. So any nation that says that Hashem chas v'shalom forsake his children, the Torah says exactly the opposite. And after he says that I will remember my covenant with Yaakov that had 12 righteous tribes, and Va'afet Briti Yitzchak, and my covenant with Yitzchak, because Yitzchak had Esav v'Yaakov. So Esav doesn't get part of the land of Israel and the Torah of the children of Israel. And Va'afet Briti Avraham, and Avraham Avinu also, Hashem remembers the covenant with Avraham. Avraham Avinu, he means that his continuation is in Yitzchak and not Ishmael. So Ishmael doesn't have any ownership of the land of Israel and the Torah of the children of Israel. Like we said last lesson, this is Morashah, it's the heritage of the children of Israel, the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. So Hashem wrote this and told Moshe Rabbanit to write it from Yaakov to Avraham, in order that we will know that all of this heritage is only to the children of Yaakov Avinu, which means the son of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham, and Yitzchak the son of Avraham. It's not included for Esav or Ishmael. And then he says, Ve'af gam zot, and even though biotam be'eretz oiveim, even though they were exiled, the children of Israel, despite this, lo ma'astim I didn't, ולא גאלתים לכלותם להפר בריתי איתם. I will always save them. I will never reject them. This is the words of Hashem. Hashem is infinity. I will never reject them. I will always save them. להפר בריתי איתם, ולא גאלתים לכלותם להפר בריתי איתם, כי אני השם אלוהיהם. Because I break my treaty, my covenant with them, because I am Hashem their God. וזכרתי להם ברית ראשונים, and I will remember the covenant that I had with their forefathers, and with אשר הוצאתי אותם מארץ מצרים לעיני הגויים, להיות להם לאלוהים אני השם. And I will remember the covenant that I made with them when I took them out of Egypt, and the covenant that I did with their forefather, which means Hashem's promise and his heritage for the children of Israel, for the Torah, and for the heritage of the land of Israel is forever. This is a promise. Even in the portion of Bechukotai, that it speaks if we will not listen to Hashem. Hashem says, I will never reject them. These are my children. These are my people. I made a covenant with Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. I made a covenant with the children of Israel that went out of Egypt. These are my people forever. So Hashem says, I took them as my people in front of all of the nations, and I will never reject them. So with these words, B'siyata Dishma, know that Hashem loves us, Am Yisrael. Hashem wants only the best for us. Hashem is good, and the essence of good is doing good. And we are his people forever. We are his firstborns forever. The land of Israel belongs to the children of Israel. And Yerushalayim belongs to the children of Israel. We'll speak tomorrow, Bezat Hashem, about Yerushalayim. This is our heritage. Our temple is in Yerushalayim. The holiest of holiest is in the temple in Yerushalayim. And King David bought it with money. It's ours. And it's a heritage from Hashem, God that created the world. And with this word, I would like to bless all of us that we will have the zchut to greet Mashiach tzidkenu ברחמים ומורים במהרה בימינו אמן. אליהו הנביא זכור לטוב, לעולם ייפרד אדם מחברו בדבר הלכה יחיד ורבים הלכה כרבים. תלינו בטוב ותקיצו בישועה ורחמים.
אמן.